this is
action.
So this is a pearl snare drum. It's a cast bronze, really thick shell that I'm engraving for a friend of mine. So I'm going to just start and show you how I do it. I'm going to start out with this tool here. So there's how one line's made. You just keep going till you do the whole design. I transfer the design on there from with acetone. There's what the design's going to look like. Get it all done, it'll look like that one. There's my homemade vise, my homemade tools, homemade workbench. Takes a lot of effort. So it'd be really hard to do that for 8 hours a day. The black color is a nickel plating, and that's what I'm cutting through, and it exposes the brass metal underneath. This little sample piece is on brass, and it's a lot more yellow colored and a lot brighter. Bronze is kind of dull.
Kind of looks like it.
Mm-hmm. Not real shiny. So since I do them freehand like that, every one of them is going to look a little bit different. You know, they're not going to be like a machine. They would all be identical. This design is based on some really old drums. They were doing this back in the 1920s. And the original drums are very collectible. This will kind of be a replica. And it will still be collectible. This is based on a Leedy drum design.
And Leedy is British, right?
Leedy, I think, is a British company, and I don't know if they're still around or what, but I know they had a lot of drums with engraving on them back in the day. You can look on the internet and find all kinds of cool pictures of old antique Leedy and Ludwig drums. But this is a pearl, so I hope they start a tradition. Let me engrave them a bunch of drums. So there's the basic outline of it. And now I'll do all the, what I call the fills, all the little stuff. So I'll grab a different size tool here and start doing these little kind of decorative stuff, I guess. It's been more than 20 years ago when I was doing these. I did a bunch of drums for Ludwig, and since then I've just kind of been doing some things on my own, and I've done a bunch of different brands of drums and guns and knives and you name it. But it's my hobby. It's my part-time occupation, so I don't do this for a living or anything. So that's all I need for that size tool. Now I'm going to use this little tiny one and do these little, like leaves will have little veins in them, you know, so that's kind of what this is. Put the little veins in the leaves. And they're, you know, real random. They're not even laid out on there. I just look at it and say, okay, right about there. Every one of them is going to be a little different. Sometimes this little trim work takes longer than the main design. Yeah, I'm getting there. So I'll tell people a lot of times how I got started doing this was actually Ludwig ran an ad in the paper in Charlotte for hand engravers. Well, I worked in machine shops, and I'd done a lot of engraving and different kinds of things, like with trophies and that sort of stuff. So I called them up, and they said, come over here and look at this stuff. And I went over there, and they showed me one of these drums, and I looked at that, and I've never seen anything like that before. They said, you think you can do that? And I said, sure. I didn't have any idea how to do it or anything, and so they gave me one of the shells and said, do one for us and we'll see if we want to hire you. So I went to the library and I studied up and I read books about engraving, and I found how they did this kind of engraving, and I made some tools and I went at it and ended up getting the job and got better at it and got better at my tools and everything, and that's it. So I got one last thing to do on this one. This great big tool. Like that. All right.
Whoa.
Okay.